Welcome to this unboxing of the new Mattel WWE Retro 4-pack, and I think this one is looking pretty promising. You can have a look at the box artwork first. I have to say, I do like these boxes, I do like the little set of 4, but I always think, maybe it's just years and years of seeing people doing really good customs, I do think that they look a bit homemade. Like I've seen people who, I think it's the way that the images, obviously, the sort of separate images have just been amalgamated into one. It does look a little bit like something somebody might make at home, but still, it's an official release. Let's open her up and have a look what's inside, shall we? Now, the last ones we had were the NWO figures, which I thought were a brilliant return to form after the previous series. The orange series, you can see my review of those on my channel elsewhere, I thought were really disappointing. I just thought the figures just seemed a bit flat and not particularly well made. Let's see what these are like. Hopefully these are a return to form like the NWO figures. Let's pick one to start and let's go for Paul Bearer. There he is. Real superstar action, Cremation Crush, and he comes with an urn. I mean, he is absolutely, if you're talking about collecting Hasbros as a kid, one of those figures that you needed for the set. Now, like the NWO figures, they've gone with a slightly different packaging. I'll show you that in a minute. Still, we've got our artwork on the back, retro style. Can't say fairer than that. But like the NWO figures, they've got this new slide packaging, which means, on the one hand, you can take your backing card off and it can be free of marks. Saying that, I'll come to that in a moment, but that's the idea behind it. I'm a little bit sad about that because it's not like the old Hasbros. I like being able to put a finger in and pop them off like the old-fashioned cards. So I think I'm a bit disappointed they've got rid of that, but you know, it's a small thing, isn't it, really, in the grand scheme of things. Saying that, there is some marks on the back of my card there. I wonder if that's come off the plastic on Paul Bearer. It is a softer plastic. It's bendable plastic on there. I do wonder whether that reminds me a bit like the Jakks figures. Jakks figures, after a while, that plastic always went sticky. Good face, I like that a lot. Pale hands. What does he do? Oh, there you go. The up and down classic. Yeah, his jacket's, well, looks absolutely fine, but it's gone a bit tacky. Be interesting to see what happens with that over time. Still, really pleased with that one. I like it a lot. I think that is a good addition to the set. Oh, can I get him to hold that urn? Let's see. Let's see if I can get him to hold the urn. So he's got flexible fingers. I assume his finger's not going to break off. Oh no, look. It's got a sort of a rubbery, can't really see that, can you? But it's got a sort of a rubbery finger. Yeah, be slightly careful with it so it doesn't come off, but I can get it in there and he will hold on to that. Yeah, I think I'm pleased with that one. I don't think a little bit of, well, it's soft plastic, that's the key thing. I don't think there's going to be any danger of that being an issue. I think that's a really pleasing figure. Pleased with that one. Another addition to the set, absolutely as a kid. I always wanted the commentators, managers and referees, and he is one of the ones I absolutely wanted. And he's here in his wrestling gear. You can have a look at the card even after I've taken him off. I mean, that's a highlight of the new style packets, isn't it? Crown Pound rivals into submission. Crown Pound. That sounds like a issue with the UK economy at the right moment, doesn't it? But I don't think that's what it means. There's the 4 figures. I'll put him up there. Let's have a look at this one. I like this one. I think this one is one of the ones that look best in the packet. Really good detail. I mean, I think that was my problem with the last set. They just looked a little bit cheap, a little bit thrown together. These ones seem to be an absolute return to form, like the NWO ones were. It's got the old Jake punch. Jake the Snake was my second ever Hasbro, so I've got a bit of a soft spot for that. Interesting to see whether that will go loose after 30 years. The crown doesn't come off. It's got a bit of flexibility on the head. Don't really mind that. As I said, I think I've said on these videos before, it's very much in keeping with the old style Hasbros. But speaking of a hat that doesn't come off, that leads us nicely on. Oh, he's on a carpet, to be fair to him, but put his arms down so he's not weighed down and he'll stand up. Speaking of a hat that doesn't come off, we've got another one of these. Now, I love The Undertaker, got loads of Undertaker figures. Do we need another one in the Hasbro line in this particular garb? I mean, there's enough other versions of The Undertaker, surely, that we could have had something a little bit different. Let's take him off and see. I think what's happened here is they've gone, right, let's make an Undertaker whose hat you can take off. And then they went, well, we can't just put out Purple Undertaker again because we've already put one of those out, so let's put a mask on his face. I mean, yeah, it's a memorable moment when he had his face crushed and he's got his mask, but did we need a figure? I mean, it's exactly the same as the one, is it from Series 1, isn't it? Yeah. Does exactly the same thing, it's just he's got no hat and he's got a mask on. Yeah, okay. His eyes are quite cool, aren't they? I think I could have done without this figure, to be honest. Nothing wrong with it. If we'd have had that in the first series and not the other one, I think I'd have been more than happy. But given how long we've been waiting for these to get back up and running, and now that they are, you know, and we're still each year getting a relative few of them compared to other lines, I think, yeah, I don't know that Undertaker would have been my choice for another figure. This guy, on the other hand, love this. The Vaderizer, amazing. There's the back. Let's look at the big man, shall we? It's growing on me, this sliding the back and card off, I must admit. It's a nice idea if you want to keep them. I don't think I'm going to keep all these. I got rid of all my Hasbro ones years ago. Kept them for years and then decided I didn't want them and just stuck them all in the bin. So I don't think I can bring myself to keep all these ones. Oh, Ball Bearer's gone for a Burton. And there is our man Vader. You know, slightly cartoonish face, but there's nothing wrong with that. I just think the detail on these is so much better than the last series. That Doink and Tugboat and Lex Luger series I just thought was so weak. What does he do? Let's see if I can. How much? Yeah, I don't know that he does a great deal. It doesn't seem to go very far, but yeah, because he bends back. He doesn't then fly forward. Still, he sort of wobbles. I suppose he's like old Akeem used to. He never really did very much. I like that though. Really happy with that. I think I'm always quite forgiving when those bits don't work or when they've got hats stuck on because they're in keeping with the Hasbro style. So there you go. The new 4 Mattel style retro figures. Just trying to zoom in for you. I'm sure you've got used to the technical aspect of these videos not being the best. There they are. I think that's a really good set. Could have done without the Undertaker, but it's not in itself a bad figure. The other 3 are really, really good. Really happy with those. Good accessory. Good new people in the line. I think we're back on top form with WWE Mattel Retros.